We are putting the spotlight this evening on the monster monsoon that is unleashing its fury all across North India. Rainfall records have been broken in the last 48 hours, and so have government claims of having everything under control. From Himachal Pradesh to Haryana, what is evidence is not just climate change, but also the extreme reluctance for our system to change. As a result, major metros are waterlogged, hotels and homes in the hills are collapsing, and citizens are flooded with misery. Ladies and gentlemen, at least 34 people have died in this region in the last 24 hours. Let's start, though, with Himachal Pradesh, the state that is worst hit because of the monsoon mayhem. And take a look at the pictures. My God, in the last 48 hours, Himachal Pradesh has been at the center of nature's fury. Just take a look at that. That's a hotel simply collapsing into the river. One of India's favorite hill stations, Kulu Manali, is in the grip of this flash flood that was triggered by torrential rains. What you're seeing is the mighty Bias River overflowing, sweeping anything that is coming on its way. Bridges, vehicles, hotels, homes, everything. Countless trees have been uprooted. Hundreds of people are stuck due to deadly landslides there. People who were on holidays, they've not been able to call their families. People are worried across this country. National highways, ladies and gentlemen, have collapsed. Have you seen those pictures? Imagine a national highway simply collapsing. Let's put that picture out for our viewers as well. About 800 roads have been shut thanks to the rain rampage across the state. This is the state of Himachal Pradesh. In a moment from now, what you will see is a part of the national highway, and how where there used to be a road, there's now simply a river that is flowing across. This is Himachal Pradesh for you. And there seems to be no respite in sight for people living in Himachal Pradesh for at least the next 4 to 5 days. There is a red alert in at least 7 districts in the state as we speak. Now, located next to Himachal Pradesh is Punjab. Those looking for a home in Punjab's Mohali should know that a personal swimming pool is available right outside your home, that too free of cost. These are the pictures. This luxury is thanks to intense rains and poor upkeep of drains. This is Mohali that we are talking about. Punjab also is, remember, one of India's key food producing states, and just seeing these pictures tells us about the huge tracts of agricultural land that are also inundated. You just see them. You have cars that are floating. You could almost be mistaken that this is a river we are talking about. It isn't. These are cars that are floating in Mohali. And there are some kids who decided, well, if it rains, why not have a swim? So at least someone is having a good time. But this is what Mohali looked like. Now, the mayhem in the hills in North India was caused because of the same phenomena that led to the Kedarnath cloudburst and subsequent floods in Uttarakhand in 2013. Scientists say the 2013 floods were triggered due to the confluence of 2 weather systems, that is a convergence of the western disturbances from the Arabian Sea and the monsoon winds from the Bay of Bengal. It's on your screens. The deadly rainfall in North India over the last 2 days is exactly because of this same confluence. The 2 weather systems that are usually independent of each other converged around Jammu and Kashmir on Saturday, and around Himachal, let's put that graphic once again, and around Himachal Pradesh on Sunday. So essentially the hills and most of North India received moisture from both the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal, leading to the deadly showers that we have seen. And not just deadly showers, we have seen those showers kill at least 34 people. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a huge underestimation. But I don't want to put out figures because we are not sure of the figures so far. But let's be clear. The destruction we are seeing is not just because of the rains, not just because of the convergence of 2 systems from the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea. If you're watching us from Gurugram in Haryana, pictures of waterlogged streets are definitely not new for you. We have seen them in the last 24 to 48 hours as well. This is Millennium City, a city which houses some of India's top MNCs. Some very, very rich people live here. Gurgaon has now become infamous for Aadhe Ghante Ki Barish or Hal Behal. Look at these pictures. Do you know where they are from? They are from outside the district court in Gurugram, which has now become a full-fledged swimming pool. Take a look at this. One citizen, Anu Lall, was fed up enough to put out this video on Twitter calling out the government of Haryana. What she says makes a lot of sense, so I'm putting Anu's video out for you. Listen to that video and Anu will join us on the show as well.
This is how institutional corruption looks like.
So when your city's councillor, XCN, SDO, JE eat up your taxes, and then it rains. MCG spent 100 crores in 3 years to clean drains. That's 9 lakh rupees per day. We have sandbagged the entrance to our home. Insurance companies hiked premium last year to include this kind of damage done in the car parking to standing parked cars. Each year we see new waterfalls, new boats, underpasses becoming swimming pools. 3,000-year-old civilizations like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro had drains, but unfortunately the educated engineering class of all of Haryana are not able to just think that we need drains. When the rainwater recedes, don't forget, this is the face of corruption. This is not weather. This is when they eat up your drains, and this is when they eat up your tax money. This is corruption. Don't forget that.
Yes, don't forget that, because what Anu is saying is a very valid point, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. But the story in Gurgaon was pretty much replicated in Delhi as well over the last 48 hours. India's national capital reported record-breaking rains in 41 years, and the city came to a standstill. Thank God it was a weekend, that people were not traveling for work. Can you imagine the mayhem if that had happened? If it was, say, a Monday? Thankfully, it's a Monday. It's not raining today. Mr. Kejriwal in September 2022 had promised to make Delhi a city of lakes. So all we can say right now is congratulations, Mr. Kejriwal. You have fulfilled your promise without even trying. I'm not kidding you. He had actually said he'll make Delhi a city of lakes. Listen in to what he had said in 2022.
पूरे दिल्ली में हम 380 झीलें बना रहे हैं, लेक्स। दिल्ली धीरे धीरे झीलों का शहर कहलाएगा। पूरी दिल्ली के अंदर आप जहां भी जाओगे आपको झीलें दिखाई देंगी, खूबसूरत आसपास लैंडस्केपिंग दिखाई देगी। अभी जितनी झीलें 26 झीलें बनके तैयार हो गई हैं। तो झीलों से एक तरफ वातावरण अच्छा होगा, एक तरफ हवा अच्छी होगी और दूसरी तरफ अपने को पीने को पानी मिलेगा।
26 nahi, there were 2,600 jheels in Delhi in the last 48 hours. That was 2022. Today, of course, Mr. Kejriwal blamed the rain for the infra mess that is making headlines. Of course, he cancelled all leaves of officials over the weekend and had his ministers on the ground for inspections. But all these meetings and inspections would have probably helped before the monsoon set in and not after. Listen in to what he said today.
8 और 9 जुलाई के जो 24 घंटे थे, उन 24 घंटों में 153 mm बारिश हुई है, 153 mm बारिश हुई है। 40 साल में इतनी बारिश पहली बार 40 साल के बाद हुई है। 1982 में 169.9 170 mm बारिश हुई थी, इस बार 153 mm बारिश हुई है। सो अनप्रेसिडेंटेड बारिश है। इतनी बारिश को बर्दाश्त करने के लिए दिल्ली का सिस्टम डिजाइंड नहीं है। तो जाहिर तौर पे लोगों को बहुत ज्यादा समस्याएं आई। बड़ी समस्या है, उसको देखते हुए चाहे जितने मर्जी एफर्ट्स किए जाएं, ऑल एफर्ट्स आर प्रूविंग लेस।
Now, Delhi's chief minister is blaming the rain for this menace. Of course, it's record-breaking. But the incompetence of our authorities is record-breaking as well. There is absolutely no pre-planning. Is rainfall breaking news for our netas that they don't get time to prepare for it? Every year, we know when the monsoons are going to hit. And every year, we know what is going to happen. And yet, the same thing happens year after year after year. Why is it that the Aam Aadmi Party's Atishi called for an inspection after the wall of a government school building collapsed? Why is it that the Haryana Chief Minister had to buckle up after the mess had been created and call for a meeting, a flurry of meetings? Why can't our elected netas complete all of these meetings and these plannings and whatnots before they are pulled up for mismanagement? Bangalore gets flooded every year, not just because of heavy rains, but because natural water channels beneath the surface are blocked because of irregular construction. In 2014, Srinagar, of course, received 5 times more rains than normal within 4 days. But again, the flooding was not due to rains. The flooding in Srinagar back then happened due to overpopulation in low-lying areas along the Jhelum River. The floods in Kerala killed nearly 500 people in 2018. A devastation that is largely due to an unregulated increase in the number of settlements and tourist infrastructure along the floodplains. So don't just blame it on the rains. It's the monsoons. It will rain. Scientists for the last 20 years have been warning you about extreme weather conditions. That is exactly what we are seeing. The warnings have been there. You have not acted. You have been sleeping, or you have been fooling people, or you have been way too busy making money. Dr. Sudhir Krishna is former Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development. He is joining us on the broadcast. Vimlendu Jha is an environmentalist joining us on the show as well. And Anu Lall is a harassed citizen of India, specifically Gurugram, who is joining us as well. She's the founder of Yoga Smith. Anu, I want to ask you, what prompted you to make the video that our viewers have just seen?
This is not the first time I have made such a video. I make it every year and we upload it on the CM window every year. I send it to the RWA, they send it to the councillor. It's an annual phenomenon. All that I keep saying is, I am this much in height, I'm knee deep in water, this time I'm waist deep in water, this time I'm on a boat, this time I'm on a, whatever. It's just that this time that the videos went viral and, I have come under the spotlight, good or bad, I don't know how. But this is not the first time we're now seeing this. I mean, it's an every year phenomenon. So while the rain has been record, but this is really an every year phenomena. The insurance premiums for us were raised, I think, 2 years ago because of the rain logging that happened. I mean, we have new submarines every year. We have new boats every year, so new swimming pools every year. So it's not really a new thing for us.
It's not really a new thing for us. And I think you say one thing very well and very rightly, that this is what institutional corruption looks like. Paisa hai, all of us pay taxes. 30% of your salary and my salary and probably Vimlendu's earnings go in taxes. And this is what we are paying our taxes for all those taxes to sink every time it starts raining. Every time it starts raining. Vimlendu, how do we explain? We'll get to the hills in just a bit. We are seeing that the hills are in a mess as well. But let's for a moment talk about our metros. Our metros that generate GDP for this country, our metros that are showcase cities for this country. Metros like Delhi, metros like Bangalore, metros like Mumbai. Every time it rains, a part of the city is sinking. We saw that in the national capital as well. This time, in the last 48 hours. This is India's national capital. For heaven's sake, why can't we fix it? Why can't we ensure that underpasses are not flooded? Why can't we ensure that roads don't become swimming pools?
So, Shreya, the reason why we can't fix this mess is because, one, we don't understand the mess, and we are actually, the way the government actually operates is that it's more of a land mafia rather than a governance. If you look at the reason why our cities, our metros are in mess, because what we have actually valued, and the only thing that we have valued is land, and we've actually taken over floodplains, we've taken over stormwater drains, we've taken over our forests, and that's the primary reason why the city is in mess. So if you look at Delhi, for example, as in, the low-lying area, when we call the low-lying area that needs to be evacuated, that is where the entire Yamuna Pushta is, or the Trans Yamuna is. If you look at stormwater drains, there's more than 17 to 19 stormwater drains. All of them have actually been encroached. Every time, I have been fighting for for the floodplains to remain floodplains, with babas to governments, babas to babus for almost 20 years. But in greater common good, we've been encroaching upon our land. Look at Gurugram. Last 1.5 years, I've been living in Gurugram. Everywhere you see these fancy buildings, you see concrete, and therefore the capacity of earth to actually absorb rainwater has actually gone down by almost 90%. So when you actually sow concrete, you will actually have this mess everywhere. And that is what is actually happening in every city. Look at Manali. Like 2013, when Kedarnath happened, and of course, we're going to talk about Kedarnath and how the rivers have taken their space, how the rivers have taken over all the highways, because we built those highways and we built those buildings in Delhi and elsewhere in the path of that water. And the worst thing is that our government actually is signatory to many of these climate change documents and conferences and fancy brochures and everything else. And each of them actually talks about climate change and the impact that it could have. Like you and I discussed heat wave in the month of June and now are discussing floods in July. Next month, we are going to discuss air pollution. After that, we'll discuss forest fire. And this is what Anu was actually talking about. This is annual. This is not something which you can blame it on the weather and caught by surprise. Governments are aware of this. And to hell with the chief minister saying 153 mm rain. 10 mm rainfall in Delhi or Gurugram would create a swimming pool like situation. So acceptance of bad governance, apathy, corruption is the first stage. Like Delhi doesn't even have an efficient drainage plan, as in what you and I were talking about a while ago, that imagine taking 10 years of deliberation to create one and 2 years of not following it, and now data is completely missing. So a city that wants to host all the fancy G20 and G70 and G5000 meets can't really take care of its sewage water, can't even take care of one bad rainfall, is aware of climate change and climate events, is really unfortunate. So indeed, it is institutionalized corruption, it's apathy, it's ignorance. It's really a classic case of our governments of the day really interested only in saving the government rather than serving the government and serving the people.
Anu, just come in here. As a citizen, I often wonder, here we are, a country launching into space. I mean, we are sending a manned mission to the moon in 2024. We are on track to do that. But in the last 20 years, one thing that has not been on track is our urban infrastructure. I wonder, it's not, anyone would look at it and say it's not rocket science. If it's broken, fix it. We know it is broken, simply fix it. What has been your experience with the system, quote unquote, as a citizen who has a voice and often complains and has been complaining year after year after year as a citizen?
See, I think it's a one-way communication. Keep sending out the messages, you keep putting up complaints, and those windows are automated, your complaints get closed on automatically. There's no reverse communication that happens. And we tend to think of the government like this one thing, that it's a broad thing. But actually, I mean, India has 700-800 districts. Each district has a district magistrate, a councillor, an XCN, a JD, a junior engineer. I mean, at the end of the day, the responsibility breaks down and it comes to your mayor and your councillor, and eventually some safai karamcharis who will clean the drains, somebody who will put in those drains. At a granular level, it is possible. We keep saying 1.4 billion people, but actually at a granular level, we need to come down and see who is doing what, in what lane, in what chauraha, in what which subway is getting flooded. At the end of the day, it comes down to that responsibility only. How hard can it be? we have to break this
Dr.
whole
Sudhir Krishna, how
government
hard?
down into a granular level detail. We can keep signing these big climate change agreements, but at the end of the day, my pain will only be resolved by my mayor and my councillor and my district magistrate. No, and the structure exists. It's just that down the line, we've just forgotten that UPSC is not something to clear exams and come. People prepare for years for UPSC, and this is 11 months of preparation for 1 month of rain. वो कहते हैं ना कबीर जी, दुख में सुमिरन सब करें, सुख में करे ना कोई, सुख में सुमिरन जो करें तो दुख का एको होए. If we just prepare in those 11 months, we won't have to face this, no? And people clearing the UPSC engineering exams, fancy government jobs, lucrative jobs, at the end of the day, the jobs have to do something also, no? सिर्फ white office chair में AC office में बैठ के
Sudhir
तो
Krishna?
this responsibility will not be dispensed.
Dr. Sudhir Krishna, how difficult can it be, asks Anu Lall. And it's a question that any anguished citizen would ask. But it is very difficult to fight institutionalized corruption that seems to be in our DNA. काम नहीं करना है. The system has to be unresponsive. It's okay if tax-paying citizens or even citizens who don't pay tax are being harassed. Because governments operate on one certainty. And the system operates on one certainty. The certainty that public memory is short. आज हिमाचल में जो हुआ. दिल्ली में, गुड़गांव में जो हुआ. परसों लोग भूल जाएंगे, election आएगा, people will still vote for us. The problem, I think, is with us as well as citizens because we don't ask the right questions to the right people.
Well, I think the questions posed and the observations made so far cannot be denied. These are all valid. The question ultimately is that what is the solution? And I think we have to put our heads together, the citizen on one side along with the government at various levels. I think what has happened is that we have experimented with governance rather in a fragmented manner. Since we are talking about Gurugram, we have got too many authorities here. There is a development authority and there is a municipal commissioner and there is a deputy commissioner and the town planning department, and then there are so many other organizations, as a result of which the drains do not have a singular ownership. The drainage planning is not anybody's baby. Somebody who has a road is accountable for the drain, a pertinent drain. But the drains are a continuum. They come from beyond the city and they go beyond the city. The rainwater comes from beyond the city, goes beyond the city, passes through the city. Within the city, it goes through various ownership areas like municipal corporation area, panchayat area, GMD or development authority area, and cantonment area, and so on and so forth. I think a high time it is to sit together and find out that the drainage planning has to be given a singular authority to manage it, plan for it and manage it also. And the drainage planning is the fundamental layer of town, urban and regional planning. And the regional planning and urban planning has layers. The first and foremost layer is the drainage plan. We have to allow the rainwater to flow and nurture the water bodies and flow freely as it has to end up whichever river it has to join. And thereafter we have mobility planning. And according to mobility planning, we have to allow habitats to come up and so on and so forth. But we are moving other way around. First habitats are coming and thereafter we are trying to provide connectivity. And by the time we find that the rainwater movement ends up in a mess. So I think it is high time, and good news is that we have got a lot of technology available, satellite imagery is available, and so much data is available. No. But the governance model has
What's
to be
the use of that technology? Dr. Sudhir Krishna, what is the point of all that technology? What is the point of all that technology? What is the point of putting all those satellites into space? What is the point of sending, a manned mission to the moon if we can't even fix our roads and our drainage system? The drainage system in Delhi is older than I am by a year.
Absolutely.
They tried to fix it some 10 years ago. Or Yeah, for some 10 years ago, they tried to fix it. For 8 years, IIT did a study, came out with a new plan. For 2 years, the government said, chalo, isko implement karte hain. After 2 years, they start implementing it. So this is 10 years since the study has been commissioned. And then one fine day, they wake up and realize, oh, but none of the points in the IIT Delhi plan are actionable. So it's abandoned. 10 years ka effort is abandoned because none of the points in that report as far as Delhi's drainage plan is concerned are actionable. That is, that is civic apathy, which is responsible for what we see on our screens. It's not the rains. The Delhi Chief Minister can come and tell us record rains. Of course, we know it's record rains. Monsoon hai, rains to hoga. But even when there is no record rain, this is how Delhi is. Even when there is no record rain, this is how Haryana is. But for a moment, Vimlendu, as we see pictures of the national capital, I also, as we conclude, want to turn our focus to the hills. And I want to show our viewers what's happening in the hills, because there's something diabolical happening there. Have you seen the pictures? And ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at those pictures again. Have you seen the picture, Vimlendu, of that hotel simply collapsing? It's a white-colored hotel. I'm just going to tell our producer to put that picture on the screens. Just look at this. This is, I don't know what it is doing so close to the riverbank, first of all. So it's 100% illegal. And it is 100% been built after paying potloads of bribe to the municipality and to the system top to bottom. I've lived in this country long enough to know that that's how things are working. My point to you is, how do you explain what is happening in the hills? Because the destruction in the last 48 hours has been maximum in the hills, whether it is Uttarakhand, whether it is Himachal Pradesh, whether it is Jammu and Kashmir.
Shreya, this hotel, the one that's there in Manali, indeed, that is illegal, and there was rampant corruption, and we've seen the same thing in Kedarnath as well in 2013. But the main encroacher, or the main, right now, if you look at other casualties, are the government infrastructure, the highways. What we've been talking about last 6 months, you and I spoke about Joshimath. We were talking about the Char Dham road project. There are landslides everywhere. There's several highways that are completely swept because the river or the rivers of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand have reclaimed its space, and it's actually doing it again and again. In 2013, that's exactly what happened. 2018, exactly the same thing happened. So what the government has done, it's very important to know that, yes, there are private institutions and hotels and business groups that have actually mushroomed in several parts of our mountain area. But the largest violator and the largest encroacher and the largest plunderer and cause of today's havoc that we see in the mountains is the government itself. The way infrastructure, in the name of infrastructure development, we have actually really taken away the natural infrastructure of the mountains. The kind of construction that the government has actually commissioned in the mountains, and many of it has damaged, many of it has actually blocked the natural, the water passage, is the reason why we are seeing this mess. The dams are in danger, the highways are in danger, the hydroelectric power plants are in danger, government buildings are in danger, and therefore the villages and towns of these mountains are also in danger because we refuse, our government refuses to accept that Himalayas come under an ecologically sensitive zone, and therefore appropriate to its ecological sensitivity is the kind of infrastructure that needs to be generated there. Like creating a 6-lane highway in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand is really stupid, plain stupid. Digging tunnels in loose Himalayas is plain stupid. Having rail projects in different extreme by cutting down thousands and thousands of trees. And we are doing that. And we'll do it again, by the way. These visuals or 2013 event and 2023 event, this is not going to change the way our central government or local governments operate. You and I are just stupid people trying to tell the government that we don't need development. Government wants this kind of development. development, this kind of a destructive development, which is counterproductive. Look at that visual of that sludge that is passing. That sludge is passing through a path which was its natural path that was encroached upon by urbanization or various ways, or perhaps this water needed a different way that has been blocked because of a highway or a fancy NTPC project or something else that would have come about there. That vision, that wisdom, that understanding, that infrastructure at what cost. And by the way, all of this means loss of GDP, billions of dollars of money lost, not just in terms of disaster, but also in terms of infrastructure, loss of life and livelihood. And there's enough evidence and data for us to really take a step back. Hope that after this event that has happened in 2023, and I'm sure there will be no impact, hope the government really has a climate adaptation policy in the mountains to begin with, because this is not the last monsoon and there's no guarantee that Western disturbance will not match with the Eastern disturbance or the monsoon next time. And, as many, what Mr. Krishna was talking about, like Gurugram has been constructed over all the natural drains. Similarly, hills are actually, all the infrastructure in the mountains are actually built over the natural water bodies and waterways. And unfortunately, this is the only way a river or a drain or a waterfall can claim its identity. And in that, we are paying a price. Our planet is paying a price. Our economy is paying a price.
Ladies and gentlemen, we all know what is happening. We all know, and scientists have been telling us this for the last 15, 20 years, that we will see more extreme weather situations and events. That's what we are seeing. That's what we have seen in the last 48 hours. Should we be prepared for it? Obviously, we should be prepared for it. Why are we not prepared for it? As Anu puts it rightly in her video, it's institutional corruption. There is nothing else that explains it. Anu, you're the citizen on the show. I have 10 seconds. Please tell me, do you see light at the end of this broken tunnel? Or do you feel that agle saal also you'll be making another video and we'll be having the same discussion?
I was actually thinking next year I'll wear a red t-shirt and also get a boat to make the next year video. It'll just give a different flavor to it. It'll be the same, is what my sense is, which is very sad. We don't need an IIT degree. We don't need big policies. We don't need big things. Gurugram is a land of gaons, यहाँ जोहड़ होते थे, and जोहड़ में पानी इकट्ठा होता था, and on that water we built these fancy villas selling it for 22 crores, 5 crores, 10 crores, whatever. Water has memory. It'll go underneath and the water gets collected. It's not rocket science. Even gaonwalas knew this, what IITs are struggling with, what IAS officers are struggling with, what engineers are struggling with. Let's get back to nature and let's just respect nature. That's it. With good niyat and good intention. Bas wahi chahiye. Nothing else needed. Otherwise, next year I'll be on a boat rowing or making my next video. like usual.
And we'll see you next year as well. What the system needs to respect is nature, and the system needs to respect tax-paying citizens as well. We know exactly what is happening. Don't try and fool us. Don't tell us this was because of heavy and record-breaking rains. This wasn't because of heavy and record-breaking rains. This was simply because you didn't do your job. Now don't give us photo ops. We don't require those photo ops of your ministers and your babus out and about doing inspections. These inspections should have happened before the monsoons began. Ab karne ka koi fayda nahi hai. It's a bit like the old Hindi films of the 80s where the police always used to arrive after the crime was over. That is what our governments and the system have become. Anyhow, we'll leave it there for the moment. I'm fairly certain all of us will be having this conversation pretty soon, once again, maybe in a week's time. But thank you very much, Dr. Sudhir Krishna, for joining us on the broadcast. Good to have you on the show. Vimlendu Jha, thanks very much. And Anu, thanks very much for being the citizen voice on the show. I'm slipping into a quick break. There's more coming up on the other side. Our second big lead is from Karnataka. Do stay with us.